Alright, this is going to be my last video on the forestry mulching. It's been a while, and I can tell you what I did to get it to where it's at, which it's still quite a bit of a mess. There's still a lot to do. But let me show you what I did. Is I used a landscape rake about I think it's probably 4 months ago, maybe. I'm not sure. But I used the landscape rake and I raked up all of the everything I could, which a lot of dirt came up with it when I did that. But I raked it all up into probably 5 or 6 pretty big piles around the property. And of course then I started having flood problems with the property holding water because I'd raked up a lot of topsoil. Not a ton of it, but you know, some. And also pulled stumps. So I did that. And it took about 4 or 5 months for it to compost down. And I'll show you, there's one pile back here I can't get to pull it back out. I raked all the other piles back out, even though there was still a lot of bigger stuff left on top, and anything that was large was still in the middle. Of course, it's not going to break down in 4 or 5 months, but most of it did break down because we had a lot of rain this winter down here in South Louisiana. So it was wet constantly. But let me show you. This is a pile back here, and I'll show you so you can see how big of a pile it is. It's probably 3 or 4 foot tall and 6 foot wide. But if you look down here, like, you can still see a lot of the debris on top, but if you dig into it, you can see it's broken down. Get down in there. That's what you want right there. That's good stuff. So that's what I've got. Now I can't get this pile pulled out yet because it's too muddy back here, and I got my tractor stuck almost, and it's just gonna be a while before I can get back in here to pull that back out. All right, I'm going to continue. I'm sorry, I had a neighbor stop by, so I had to stop and talk. But anyway, like I said, I raked up everything into piles. It composted down, except for what was mostly except for the big stuff and what was on top. The stuff that was on top, you know, it was basically didn't break down hardly at all. And my point to that is that if you don't pile up the mulch after forestry mulching, that mulch had been out here, oh, I don't know, say 6 months. And it wasn't hardly broken down at all. I mean, granted, it was dry and pretty brittle, but it wasn't rotten. And we've gotten a ton of rain up here. All season long it's been raining. Every week we get a downpour. It's been a really wet winter. So if it won't rot in 6 months at all, there's no way it's gonna rot in 1 year. And I know they like to tell you it will. I'm here to tell you, you better get some guarantees on that, which I don't know how you would even do that, but it's not going to. It's just not. And you can see here, this is mostly the stuff that was on top. Like, you see those big pieces that are left? And I'm sure that I can show you more. But I went around and made piles everywhere, all over my property, and I'm burning them. And I got a lot of piles. I probably got, I don't know, a lot of piles of big stuff left that was left over, and I've still got a mess. And this is after raking everything up, letting it compost, spreading it back out, trying to get the small stuff, trying to pick up the big stuff by hand and make piles, which I got one right back there, you can see. So there's a pile of big stuff. So this is the reason this is gonna be my last video, is because, well, I might do one more when I finish it, but it's not gonna have anything to do with forestry mulching or what it took to finish the property, because I've done so much work myself at this point that unless you're gonna do all the work I'm doing, it's not really beneficial to follow the videos anymore. But for a final opinion, if I had to give one, and I've done a lot of work out here, so I kind of feel like I have a good feel of what it takes to do. to finish a piece of property after mulching. And I'm going to tell you that if you're doing a house site, a site where you're going to build a house, not a right-of-way or just clearing some hunting lanes or just clearing some property, because you have, you know, if you have a whole bunch of acreage and you're trying to clear 10 acres of it just so you can see through it, and you can go over it with a bush hog every now and then to keep the brush from coming back, that's fine. But if you're building a house, I don't know that this is the right option unless you are willing to do a substantial amount of work and you have equipment. And by equipment, a minimum of a 30 plus horsepower tractor, box blade, landscape rake, disc, and a bush hog minimum. Then you can do what I'm doing. If you don't mind putting in the work, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. You're going to spend your time, but you're going to burn a little bit of diesel on the weekends. But other than that, it's just manual labor, as long as nothing breaks. So unless you're willing to do that, if you're the type, like most people, really just want a piece of land cleared and let grass start growing and make it nice so they can build a house on it either right immediately or in the future, then this isn't the option for you. It's just not a good idea. You're better off having excavator go in and just pull the trees out. A decent sized excavator could pull trees out, just grab them and uproot them and pull them out of the ground that are bigger than a mulcher can handle, than most mulchers, like a bobcat mulcher. So that's it. You can see where I'm at. It's coming along. It's still pretty messy. I got a lot of work to do still. My next step is to take either every other tooth of my landscape rake out, or maybe every third tooth. I'll just do every third tooth and widen up that landscape rake so it only picks up the larger stuff, and then go over the whole property, make a large pile that I can burn. And then I got to get all these pine trees pulled out, stumps ground. I got to disc it and level it. So I got a lot of work left to do. And so I won't be doing any more videos. I'll probably do a video when I'm pretty much done, just so anybody watching can see what it looks like after I'm finished. Other than that, I think we're done. I hope it's helped. I hope these videos have helped somebody make a decision who was considering forestry mulching for a home site. And if you're a forestry mulcher and you disagree, well, all I can tell you is post your results, because I'm not gaining or losing anything by saying what I'm saying. I'm just telling y'all my experience. That's all this is. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody or convince anybody. So hope they enjoy the videos. I hope they help.